bloody freezing out here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Honda Hornet Scrambler build. Oh, thanks for tuning in again, and it's absolutely freezing in this shed. I cannot believe how much the temperature's dropped. I haven't been in here for a couple of weeks. As you know, if you watched episode 3, I wasn't well at all. I tried to do some filming in here, and I nearly died. It was horrible. Luckily, we had that footage that was pre-recorded down of the scrapyard to give a video last week. But yeah, it was not good, and it's taken me a good few days since then to kind of recover enough to come out and do some work on the bike. Anyway, that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to get some work done on the bike. But what it has done, being indoors, has made me think about what I want from this project. Now, my problem is, when I get something in my head, i.e. this project, my brain starts working at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I want this, and I want to do that, and I can do this. I have to rein myself in, and that's what I've had to do. In the last couple of episodes, I've talked about potentially raising this bike up and making it a little bit taller for the Scrambler look. We went down the scrapyard, I saw that front end, that CB600 front end. But in all honesty, this bike, I got it for 400 quid. The whole idea was it's meant to be a cheap project for me to do over the winter and see how cool I can get it to look. Now, taking the front end off and raising the rear shock up and all that, it's great, but it's not for this project. The CB500 front end wouldn't have just gone on there. I couldn't run the original Hornet wheel because all the spindle sizes are different. I'd have been running one disc on the front. All the headstock would have had to be adjusted. It's all money and time that I don't have really for this project. So I've had to rein myself in a little bit, and that's not going to happen. Now, the reason I'm doing this, like I said right from the start, Honda Hornet 600 was my very first big bike, and I've always wanted another one, but I've always wanted a Scrambler, so I'm mixing the two. If I change so many parts on this bike for other parts, for other bikes, it then doesn't become a Honda Hornet. It just becomes a Scrambler with a Honda Hornet engine. That's not really what I wanted, so I've had to, like I say, go back to the drawing board. So for the sake of raising myself up on the front end and the rear end 50mm with another set of forks, and all the effort that's involved in that, I've just decided to keep the original forks of the Hornet and change the fork seals and refurbish the ones that are on there. That way I can run the original Hornet front wheel, all the braking system and everything else. Saves me so much work for the sake of 50mm. Same with the rear shock. I'm going to keep the original rear shock, but the stance of the bike is going to completely change, because tonight, the job I want to do tonight is take all these gubbins off and actually cut the frame off. So cut the rear subframe off. When the new subframe goes on, I've got that white plastic rear end down there, which you saw in the last episode. I'm going to convert the height of the rear of the bike with the bodywork. So raising the back end up doesn't really need to be done. So I'm going to do all that with the bodywork. So yeah, if you watched the last episode, and I did talk about changing the front end to raise the bike up a bit, that's not going to happen on this project alone. So I'd rather save my money for the next project I've got coming in here in the spring, which is going to involve a little bit of capital. So, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this thing is going to be a belter of a Scrambler. Now, I want to get the bike outside. I'm not going to cut the rear end off in here because of the sparks and obvious reasons. But if you've watched a previous episode, you know the rear caliper on this thing is sea-solid. I mean, it couldn't even be test-ridden. It's that seized, and it seems to have got even more seized since it's been in here. So I can't rock the bike backwards and forwards. So I'm going to have to get that off in order to get myself outside. So I'm going to take that off in a minute. It might take a bit of brute force. I have a new caliper. When we went down the scrapyard, I picked up the caliper from that CB500. So I'm going to actually, when this one's off, line it up and see if it does go on. However, I'm not going to install that yet, because I've decided that once this bike has been cosmetically done, i.e. all the welding and everything's where it should be, I'm going to strip the whole bike down, lay it all over this workshop floor, and I'm going to paint every single item on the bike and then put it all back together as one big build at the end. Right, let's get this caliper off. I've just been over at my socket set for about 10 minutes. You know what it's like when you got one socket. I've got a socket set with about 200 sockets in it and not one 14mm. Bloody typical, isn't it? I think I need to ask Santa for some new tools and then try not to lose them. Anyway, stop moaning, Paul. Get that caliper off. See how tight it is. Oh, that's actually not too bad. That's a lot easier to take off than that other CB500 was down the yard. I couldn't get that off at all. So let's get these bolts undone and see how hard it is to get that caliper off that disc, because it seems to be completely seized on. That is like I can move it, but I just can't get it off the disc. Right, we're going to have to give it a bit of persuasion, I think. Where's the rubber mallet? Can't find the rubber mallet. Typical. I've just got the little... I'm just going to try and tap it off. That is well on there. Thought it might be. Right, I've tried to give that a bit of a tap off, but it's not going to come off. That is well on there. So I'm going to just take that hydraulic hose off, see if I can get those pistons pushed back just enough to get that up. But yeah, it's really on there. I'll get that out of there. Get a screwdriver in between the pads. Get that piston pushed back in a little bit. Come on. Oil everywhere. I don't want that. Empty that out. Right, we've got the caliper off. I'm assuming that that piston's really seized. I'm not going to rebuild this one. I'm going to be replacing the pads and putting that other caliper on if it fits. Well, there we go. That's made life a lot easier for me. I can actually move the bike backwards and forwards now, and I forgot how light it was. That was an absolute nightmare with that brake on there. So, yeah, cool. That's released that for me. So, going to get all this undone here and just chuck it into there for now. Take all that water bottle off, and then get this back end cut off, and then we can really start having a look at what this bike can look like. Right, so that's everything off the rear subframe. You see that's now empty. I've got everything down there, all the cables and the master cylinder. Again, they all need new homes. So that's now empty now. That's ready to come off. And then around this side, we've got the main loom, which I've taken off. That was all tucked up in there. And it ran everything from like the indicators and the rear light and stuff. So I'm just leaving that down there for now because I do need to mark up what goes where. And obviously I've got these cables here for the indicators and the rear lights, so I know what they are at the minute, and I'm going to label them so I don't forget. And then we've got the main block, which I've undone, which is that's all the cables that are running through here, which I said before I want to tidy those up. Again, I don't know what each one does individually, but they're all individual connections, so I can connect them up quite easily when it comes to putting the bike all back together again. So I'll just leave those there for now. We're not dealing with that, we're dealing with the rear end. So that subframe looks like it's ready to come off. So I do need to wheel it outside. It's a bit dark out there in a minute, but I'm going to get it out, mark up where I want to cut it and get that off. And I cannot wait to see what that looks like when it comes off. It's a real step forwards. So let's get it outside. I've got to make a bit of room. My cross tour was in the way there. And Louise is, anyone that watches our videos, Louise and I do go out riding. We do a bit of vlogging on these things. We haven't been out for a few weeks because it's been, well, I've been unwell for one reason or another. But I've just put these new mitts on the cross tourer. They're like an extra pair of gloves. I want to see what they're like when it's cold. I hate winter gloves. I hate that big fat winter glove, and I didn't want to spend out on electric gloves that I have to either plug in or charge up. So I've just put these on. These were about 30 quid, so I'm going to see what they're like. I've got heated grips underneath. I did go out the other week and they were absolutely spot on. What they're like when the temperature's like this, sort of 3 or 4 degrees, I don't know. So yeah, anyway, I'm going off topic. We're not talking about my bike. We're talking about the Scrambler. New sign as well. What do you reckon about that? Thought I'd have it made up for the workshop, cheer myself up. All right, let's get her outside. Wiggle this thing outside. I kid you not, it's been lovely all day. I'm literally just going to push this out now and it's just started to sleet. Now that rear brake's off. There you go, girl. Out into the rain, in the snow. So I've just pushed the bike outside. It stopped sleeting, luckily enough, but it is freezing. Anyway, I've determined where I'm going to cut the frame. Now, this is the old bracket that used to hold the tank on. I'm going to leave that there for now, but I'm going to have to cut just behind that, purely because the shock bracket is like a triangle, and that's welded up underneath this first part of this subframe. So I don't want to cut that off and lose all the strength in the rear shock. That's not going to matter too much, and that will give me something to sort of base my new rear subframe onto. So I'm going to cut it just behind the old tank mount. And then the two rear subframes that come down past the shock, they're going to go completely. I don't need those. They're not going to be needed because I'm not going to want the subframe welded that low. I want all the shock to be exposed. So let's get these cut off, get a bit of safety gear on. I've got some glasses and my earphones, and make some sparks. Now I'm really pleased with that. For one evening's work, that's not bad. That's given me a really good idea of what I can do with the rear end now that all that metal's off, because it's hard to imagine when it's all the old rear subframes on there in the wrong shape and size. So it looks pretty severe, looks quite catastrophic now I've cut that back end off, but when it comes to fabrication, that's going to make life a lot easier, and I can start imagining what it's going to look like. Now, the two tanks I picked up in the previous video, not going to use them. I don't like either of them, but I do like the style of this one. Although it doesn't fit on the bike, it's a bit narrow anyway. I want one a bit wider. I like that flat bottom it has on it, and that's going to suit really well with the rear end that I'm having on. So I need to source another tank. I have got one in mind. I'm going to go down to the breakers and bring it back and see if it fits on, but I'm pretty certain that that's the rear plastic I'm going to use on the back, flicked up like that. Now, if you can imagine a big, fat, chunky, knobbly tyre on that back wheel, that's going to look pretty sick sitting up there somewhere with a custom-built seat. Like I say, the classic sort of tank, I'm looking for that. So I think in the next episode, what I'll do is set a temporary subframe up on the back and see if we can like make a dummy seat, just to give myself a good idea of the lines and see if they flow. And then, like I say, when the tank comes, we can put that on and just make sure it all works before I start fabricating anything on that back end. But what we'll do in the next episode for sure is strip down that front end. I've got to take the front mudguard off, all the headlights coming off, the clocks are going to come off, don't need any of them. So we'll get rid of all that, and then we'll look at these forks, because they're going to have to come off to have the fork seals done. So in the next episode, we'll take everything off the front and then stand back and have a look really what we're left with, which won't be an awful lot. But that's then when we can start the fabrication side of things and get all the welding done, and that's when it all sort of starts getting exciting for me. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to be doing these videos all through the winter, and each episode is going to be something new done to the bike. So if you want to follow the progress of the Honda Hornet Scrambler, hit that subscribe button and it will notify you when a video comes up. So in the meantime, I'm going to get this tidied up. It's absolutely freezing out here, and we'll get ready for stripping the front end down next week. But hope you enjoyed this little episode of the Honda Hornet Scrambler build, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.